We were couples cam in the beginning, and then it took a big wear on our relationship, and so we decided to just have me go solo.
Hey y'all, I'm Nicoletta Heidegger, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and sexologist.
I am Margot Diamond, and I am a live streamer, and I also create content.
Margot, so happy to have you chatting with us today.
Happy to be here.
So we're going to be giving some fun advice and tips, and remember, we're not your therapist, but hopefully you'll get some good educational things today based on what we're going to chat about.
Absolutely.
So tell me what's going on for you.
So for me, I do a lot of streaming, and one of the challenges for me is figuring out how to spend the time with my husband and spend enough time with my viewers and make sure I have a good, healthy life and work balance. I struggle with that a lot, my life and work, and keeping those separate. People always ask me, what's your hobby? And I just say work. So I need to keep those things a little more separate, but also keep the relationship piece present as well. So is there anything you'd recommend for that?
You guys cam together?
We did when we first started.
Yeah.
We were couples cam in the beginning, and then it took a big wear on our relationship, and so we decided to just have me go solo.
Yeah.
And it's been very smooth sailing since then.
Yeah, but now you're struggling to be like, how much am I spending on work?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But when you were camming together, it sounds like the time together wasn't maybe quality.
Not necessarily, and it's also, I'm a control freak, and he's sometimes much to handle, but in the most lovely way.
So you're good partners, but didn't want to work together all the time.
Right, exactly.
Super understandable, right? I mean, there's like so much pressure in our culture for like partners to be everything to each other.
Yes.
Right? Best friends, lovers, potentially parents together, running business together. Like if that were a job description on Indeed, like that would be a very tall order.
Yes, absolutely.
That should pay a lot of money.
Yeah, no kidding.
So what are some of the like impacts you've seen it have right now when you're like worried that you're not balancing it well?
Right now, I recently started doing more collabs.
Okay.
And so traveling and being away from him while I'm working with someone else is sometimes a little difficult. I noticed on this trip that I've missed him a lot not being here.
Yeah.
And so I think with that, it was a transition for him to get used to the collabs as well.
Yeah.
Things are smooth now and good, but it was an interesting shift
Yeah.
in our relationship because things were rocky for a tiny bit, but things are all good now again.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like we do things that like work for us. And so even if it's like not sustainable, we're doing it for a reason.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, like, is there anything that you feel like is getting in the way of spending more personal time outside of work? Like, what's the fear? What's the barrier?
I think making sure that my mind isn't on work, because when he wants to spend time together, I tend to be thinking about work. I'm scheduling something on my phone. I'm messaging a fan back.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to just put that down and stay in the moment with him.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
Yes.
And what do you worry will happen if you aren't paying attention to work all the time?
I am scared of losing momentum. I took a very
so many
long
performers
break.
I talk to have that same fear.
I took a very long break in 22. I took about 8 months off, and I needed it for my mental health.
Yeah.
But the momentum just absolutely dropped, and I'm scared of getting back into that.
What was it? Because it sounds like you're back in it, right? What did it take to get back in it?
Getting my mental in check.
Yeah.
I was having a really hard time.
Yeah.
But finally found the right combination of meds and the right therapist, and got myself in a better place, and it was easy to jump back in January.
So there's a fear like, I'll lose momentum, I'll lose followers, or just people who expect things from you, which is, I just want to name that's like so hard for so many performers, because tell me how this is for you, but for folks out there listening, a lot of folks, whether they're cammers or whatever, like sometimes have a team of other people helping them. And not everybody, but then now there's this false expectation that you'll be on 24/7.
Exactly.
And available 24/7. And if you're not, they're like, well, I'll go to the next one. And it really sets up this like inhuman expectation to just be on.
Yes, and I think
so no wonder it's hard to step away.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with that, agencies and things like that are popping up a lot more, and they're reaching out to models to help them with their different sites and such.
Yeah.
I'm a one-man show. I do all my stuff myself. Again,
that's a lot of pressure.
Kind of a control freak, but yes, it is a lot of pressure as well. keeps me very busy and very overwhelmed at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing. I mean, my first tip that comes to mind is like, I'm not hearing that you're needing to take like an 8-month break, but if you did, that it would be, you know, if it's necessary and needed, like do it.
Yeah.
But to remind yourself that like, even though you took an 8-month break, like it sounds like you're still back in and feeling successful now. So I wonder if you can remember that moment of like, hey, I took a break, and even though maybe it felt like I lost momentum, like, look, I'm still back and I did it. Like, I wonder it seems like your brain is stopping you from remembering that like you came back on the course when you were ready.
Yeah.
And it was like fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to think about it more of, well, hey, look, you got back into it and you're surviving, and you took that time to take care of something that would have stopped the job if I hadn't. I would have had to completely stop this entire thing if I hadn't just taken that time for myself.
Have you read the book Burnout by Emily Nagoski?
I should, though,
Do you
because
know
I feel
her?
that.
Well, it's funny because I'll tell people to read that and they're like, I'm too burnt out to read a book on burnout. But she also wrote the book Come As You Are, which is a great book about sexuality. But how long in the day do you think we need to like rest? How many hours?
Goodness. As for sleep, 8 to 10. Genuinely, my break was because I was so sleep deprived.
Yeah.
I was hallucinating, I was hearing things, it was just wild. So I think sleep is so important, but also just taking like the end of your day or the beginning of your day for yourself, and then try to set like normal work hours, and then try to keep it in those hours.
Yeah.
Have some time where I'm gonna do this much scheduling, I'll be live for this long, and I'll take this many pictures, and then phone is done, I am done.
Yeah.
Let's do something else.
Well, I guess in that same, like what you're talking about, I think a lot of us feel like, oh, well, if I stop, I'm going to, like you said, lose this momentum and whatever. But the fact is that like so much science shows us, and they talk about it in that book, Burnout, so much of the science shows us that if we're not taking time to play and if we're not taking time to like relax and rest and all those things, that you're not going to be able to be productive. And it's going to have a big impact on your survival, on your health, on your immune system. Like our bodies were not meant to constantly be doing and in motion the way that they're expected to. And so right now, maybe it feels like, oh, I'm not getting that momentum, but in the long term, you're actually not setting yourself up for momentum and success.
Yes.
And so I think sometimes it's helpful to like remind ourselves that science piece. And then I'm also curious, what do you do to transition from work to time with your partner? Because you said time with your partner is important, but you're having trouble shutting off the other stuff. Like, what kind of transition time, and what do you do in that transition to help you shift gears, especially if you're working from home?
Yes, I do work from home, and so that's a lot as well, just not leaving the house. But taking off my makeup, trying to take off Margot makes it a little bit easier, and just doing something that he really enjoys, which takes me out of so much in my head and what else I'm thinking of. Oh gosh, did this person message me back? Oh gosh, I owe someone a custom. But if I do something that he's enjoying and that I see how much joy he gets out of it, then I can relate to that, and it just makes me feel more upbeat.
Is there any kind of like ritual with the makeup and stuff that you do to like separate? Because that's my other sort of tip, is to like, when I say ritual, I just mean like an action with an intention. So whether it's like you said, I'm taking my makeup off, but like something you can say to yourself. I even have some folks who work from home, I'll have them drive around the block a couple times to make it feel like I'm coming home.
Oh, I like that.
It's like another, I'm like in a new place.
Yes.
It's like to physically change where your body is.
Right.
And so that you can actually transition. And a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough time to transition. We just think like, okay, I spent 10 minutes taking my makeup off and now I should be relaxed. But you may need to give yourself like a transitional hour or a half hour, which I know is like, well, there's not enough time. But to have the quality time, like you may need to shift it. And I would also say like anything you can change like in your sensual scenery is important. So like change the smell, change a candle, like change what you're looking at, like drive around the block, like something that you can, there's a saying like move a muscle, change a thought. So if you can like affect your scenery a little bit, it's going to help your body physically shift to another space.
Okay, I like that
make
idea.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like small, but it's helpful.
Yes, it's the small pieces that make it all feel easier.
Yeah, and like maybe even some like I don't know if I would even call it trauma work, but like work around this idea that if you take time, that it's like somehow a failing.
And it's wasting it
Yeah,
somehow.
wasting versus like, no, this is like a human survival necessity.
Yes.
That if I don't allow myself to be, I won't be able to do ongoing.
Yeah, I recently learned the term rotting.
Oh, I don't know if I know that.
Just at home, vegging out, doing absolutely nothing with the intention of doing nothing to let yourself rest.
Oh, rotting, like.
Rotting, yes. like a bad apple
decay,
or something.
I love
exactly. And just letting yourself exist and putting less pressure on yourself to be productive.
I mean, I love the word rotting because I'm such a I love horror and all that stuff. But like, I feel like even that title makes it seem to be this bad thing.
It gives it a bad connotation.
Yeah, as opposed to like, no, I'm recharging and I'm rejuvenating so that I can.
Recharging, I like that better.
Yeah, because even the way we talk about it is gonna affect if you're gonna do it.
I really like the recharging instead of rotting. Yeah. I like that a lot.
Unless you like the term rotting, you know. Like.
I don't know. I'm not quite an apple.
Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank
I hope
you
this
for
was helpful for you.
me.
And listeners, I hope you learned something. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and stay tuned for other awesome videos. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.